be human.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Paranormally Speaking. I'm Cathryn, where I'm with Trevor and Lynda. How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Doing.
Yeah. Pretty sure.
And we're here with Mr.
Let's think
Whiskers.
about. We're gonna think about this for a second. How are we doing? I'm doing okay.
You're doing okay. Okay. Mr. Whiskers wanted on my lap, so I had to bring him up. He was really cranky. So if you hear him, you'll know that's him being Mr. Cranky Whiskers. How you guys doing? What's going on?
Well, let's see. So for us, we just did our last public investigation for the year. Just got back today. Had a great turnout out at the tuberculosis hospital in Gooding at the University Inn. Had a couple of marathon investigators last night. They kept me up till about 4:30 this morning. So, you know, and had to be out of there by 11 a.m. And so I've had a very little sleep. So I'm functioning fully on energy drinks and a prayer at the moment. So we'll see how this goes.
So any inappropriate language that comes from Trevor, we're just going to ignore because we have.
If I kind of zone out and start drooling for a second, it's okay. I'm not having a stroke. I just fell asleep.
You'll be like Mark Simpson, where he's got that drool hanging off. That'll be fun. How about you,
Yeah,
Lynda?
definitely. New look for the show.
New look. Well, you have a new look because you don't look like, what is it? Remember that man of the woods, whatever his name was? Dan, whatever.
Grizzly Adams.
That's it. Grizzly Adams. You don't look like him anymore.
I don't have the beard anymore. Yeah,
No, you look very handsome either way, though, Trevor.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're going to give him an ego. Now we're never going to be able to live with him.
Like, yeah, I'm the next Zach Baggins now.
Please,
yes.
No.
Let's upgrade. Upgrade. We don't need another Zach. We've got a Trevor. That's better. We've got a Trevor.
That's more than plenty for anybody.
I gotta tell you, things are really interesting for my group because we have a new location for our bi-monthly meetings. So we just had our bi-monthly meeting actually, and it's at M.W. Becker Funeral Home now.
A funeral home.
Yes. Oh, yeah. I love having them in funeral homes. It's so great. But we also had a guest speaker who was really awesome. Really awesome. And she has a podcast and it's called Definitely, which is really kind of cool. So she talks about death and dying and all kinds of things that sort of involve death. And she was our guest speaker and she taught us so many interesting things that it was really cool. And maybe one day we should have her on our show.
I like that idea. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right? Yeah.
I feel like when I'm saying that, it's like I'm talking with a lift now.
Yes.
We could definitely have.
Definitely.
This is how it's going to be all night. I am just going to be like dumb. So
you know what? It's like Elmer Fudd, right? Like you've got your rifle, you could do the hunting, and you got your little cap there, your hat. Now,
Be very, very quiet.
Be very, very quiet.
Really, really good.
You ever did? I'm still waiting for. I now I know what I've not heard. I'm waiting for that EVP that's got that speech impediment. Every R is a W and stuff like that, because that would just make my day. It really would. You remember that movie Blazing Saddles? Okay.
Yes.
The newer generations have never seen that movie because it is completely so socially inappropriate. But
Yes.
I would be lying through my teeth if I didn't tell you that was the funniest movie I've ever watched in my life. It is so freaking. But the gal in there, her name
Madeline Kahn. Yeah.
Yeah, she does such a great job, and she's just, the Elmer Fudd touch. Everything's she can't say R's at all, and
No. I love her. I love her.
It is so funny. I mean, maybe it pulls up that YouTube. She's talking about she's trying to feed the guy the sausages.
Yes. Yes. I love her. Gosh. Well, she sings out of tune, of course, and of course.
Oh yeah.
You're right. I mean, and she talks like this, and it's oui. Oh, oui.
I live a filthy habit. I'm not a wabbit. I need some West.
Fabulous.
Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah. Have you ever had an EVP with that sounded like that, where they can't talk, say their words?
No. They always have they'll have an accent, but never the speech impediment.
No, it's true.
Yeah,
it's true. You're right.
Unless in an accent, maybe in a different language, they have a speech impediment. And we just don't know it.
That's true. That is true. Because at Greyfriars, when I had my SB7 spirit box in my pocket because they wouldn't let us do anything, I did have it sort of attached to me. And it was interesting because we were walking by where Greyfriars Bobby is, who is the dog that everybody, gives things to anyway. And I had about 4 or 5 voices say Bobby in that wonderful British accent. It was
really?
Yeah, really cool. And that's the first time I've had an EVP with an accent. Although in Montreal, I've had some of them in French, of course, but never with an accent. Very cool.
That is really cool. Very, very cool.
It's cool.
That's very, very cool. I like that. Yeah. So today we're talking about
stuff.
Yeah, I'm getting some feedback
about how annoying they are, and I mean, never mind. No, that was pre-show talk.
What's that? What was annoying? I'm sorry, I wasn't listening.
You were talking about cats and how annoying they are.
My cat's not annoying.
No, neither is mine. No.
He's a pain in my ass a lot.
Give me food. Oh, baby.
Literally, mine will talk all day long. That's all he does. He sits there and he's like, meow, 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 meow.
You know what he's doing? You know what he's doing? He's judging and criticizing you.
Yeah.
Well, I 100% know this. I know this I know this because he probably really secretly hates me, and he's waiting until he never comes into my room when I'm sleeping.
It's no secret. He really hates you. That's hate as well. So
he does. I'm sure.
And then when you wake up and they're laying on your chest, you're like, "What the heck? How you get that?" He was sitting there contemplating
sucking in your soul.
He could smother you in your sleep. That's all he was thinking about. It's if I get him a little bit closer, I'll just get my tail right up underneath the nose, get my paw across him. He'll die in his sleep. He'll never even know. I will have control of everything.
Yes, that's 100% what is going on. 100%. I know it. 100%.
Judgy little bastards.
We're talking about today. What are we talking about? I forgot now. We're talking about the difference between when we do an investigation. What is more accurate, the tech or the metaphysical? I think that's what we're talking. Tech versus metaphysical.
Yeah. So, because
let's explain both first of all. So what would you consider the tech part?
Okay, so I kind of like the analogy. It's like when we think about Batman versus Superman, right? So Superman's got all these gifts, all these powers and stuff like that. So we think about mediums and empaths and using things like pendulums, anything that has to do with energy that we are just, trying to harness somehow, or using our gifts and energy to direct us towards an investigation. From an investigative standpoint, using a medium to come up with, names and, dates or locations and things that have happened, and things of that nature, things of more of that spiritual sense, a spiritual realm, I suppose, supernatural type stuff. Yes. Does that sound about accurate, Lynda?
Yeah, they tune into that other thing, that some people don't like, which is their senses, right? They tune into those.
We have to talk about our feelings, and nobody wants that.
Right. No.
Yeah.
So basically, it's so for example, if nobody's ever used a pendulum, so this was kind of a new concept for me. On our team, we've had some new members come in, and with that come in new ideas, and very open to new ideas. Simply, again, I will be the first to tell you that while many of us we consider ourselves professionals in the field, we're not really experts. Nobody's got a ghost in a box to present to the whole world. So nobody's got it figured out yet. We think, I think we're making good strides. I think we're getting closer. So you got to be open to new ideas. Otherwise, we're never going to gain anything anywhere. But anyway, she's into the pendulums and the dowsing rods and things like that. Where for me, it's kind of like this, So and Lynda, I would. Do you use pendulums? Have you ever? I would guess that you may have done that.
I have. Yep, I have used them. Okay. We have.
Would you like?
Yes, we have one person on the team that uses them a lot, but I have used them myself. Yeah.
Okay, and I don't have one to demonstrate, but basically the way that there's a rock or a crystal that's at the end of hold on.
I'll be back.
Supergirl's gonna go get her power crystal, and I'm just gonna be bad. This is gonna be. I don't even know what to do anymore. But basically, yeah, she'll be able to show you. But you are able to use your energy, your spirit, to get the energy from the other spirits to kind of communicate through this crystal in a yes or no fashion, more or less. So, and it is interesting. However, well, we'll talk about it when we see it a little more. I think that it's very easy to manipulate.
Yeah.
And this is where, like, for me, and I am not a naysayer when it comes to the metaphysical things, because I've seen and experienced things that I can't explain when it comes to that. However, I think there's things that can be overly hoaxed as well.
Right. So this is a pendulum here. Now this is one, because I have to promote myself a little bit. I'm sorry. I actually made this one. If anyone would like their own pendulum, they can go to my website at www.oracleintuitions.com, where I will create or custom make your own pendulum for you. But
I'm going to order one.
Saying that, so for me, the thing is that you have to calibrate the pendulum first, right? You have to make sure that it's going to be for yourself. You got to basically calibrate it in the extent of show me yes, show me no. Okay, I'm not going to do that right now. But I find that pendulums can be very accurate at times, of course, right? And especially for like yes or no answers. Some people actually use something similar, not quite a Ouija board, but it'll be like with words on it where they can create sort of a sentence, or maybe a little bit more than yes, no, maybe, left, right, northwest, southeast, that sort of thing, right? You can pretty much do what you want with it. It's your pendulum. You can do what you want. But would I consider that to be paranormal evidence? No.
Okay.
And that would be for me. I would find that, because quite honestly, I feel and find that this would be great if asking a yes and no question in regard, because really what it is your conscious or your subconscious accessing the pendulum. People are going to disagree with me, and who knows, we could get 100 emails saying blah, 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 blah. I don't care.
I would love to get 100 emails saying blah, 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 blah. Please send us 100 emails.
Yes, please send us. But,
Cathryn,
but
make sure
really,
they all say blah, blah, blah.
right. But what it does is it really operates on your subconscious system. So it's really accessing information that you might not have as in the consciousness. Okay. So even if I was to do a reading with this, basically what it's doing is accessing a part of myself that I'm giving somebody the answer to, because it's coming from, let's just say it is coming from spirit, but it's coming from spirit to my subconsciousness rather than my conscious energy. Okay. So I hope that makes sense, but that's the way that it works. It's no different, quite honestly, than with tarot cards, and really any other tool that a psychic or a medium would use. It's basically, and I mean, for me, my cards are very, very accurate in regards to the information, but where's that information coming from? So sometimes I feel the better way to explain it is there might be a question or maybe something that I'm unable to answer with my consciousness. Maybe I don't want to give the answer because I know it's going to hurt somebody. Right. But that doesn't mean on a conscious level I'm aware of that. That can also be on a subconscious level. And spirit is giving you that information in order for it to make it or allow it to come out on a subconscious energy. So it's tapping your subconscious in order for it to come out in a physical form.
Okay.
So I had a friend who recently passed away, and she was, I don't know how she really what she would describe herself, kind of like a spiritual healer, I guess. But what she was doing with me, and the way she explained it, was kind of like and our spirits are more aware than our conscious is, as far as what's going on around.
Absolutely.
And so when we talk about that subconscious, I think that's kind of that spiritual awareness
and that's exactly what I'm talking about. Is like, it's even with the higher self, we can call it subconscious, we can call it higher self, we can call it higher realm, we can call it the universe, we can call it really whatever we want, but it's basically the part of ourselves that we're not fully accessing and accessing on a conscious level. So it's that difference between playing poker. I see the cards in front of me. I know that I have blah, 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 because that's my consciousness, right? My subconscious is going, I got that 7 over there in that pile. Boom. Okay. Because my subconscious is accessing that, or spirit is telling me, however anybody wants to refer to it as. And it's basically just a different way of accessing spirit, really.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Would I consider that to be 100% though, in regards to paranormal investigation? That's where I have my, you know what I mean? Like, that's where I have my doubt, because again, it's, let's say, for instance, the pendulum itself is being accessed through my subconscious. Now, I might be in a place where I really want something to be haunted. How is that going to come through? It might not come through my consciousness. It might come through my subconsciousness, right? So Our subconscious is so strong, and a lot of times, like even with law of attraction type of energy, we're basically creating or manifesting through our subconscious. It's not through our consciousness, it's through our subconscious. And so if people have really blocked subconscious, it's going to be very hard for them to create or manifest what it is that they're truly desiring, because of the fact that their subconscious is blocked. And it's got, let's say somebody, and I'm just going to quickly, like 2 minutes here, give this explanation. So let's say, for instance, somebody truly wants, they want money. Okay. They want to create more money, right? They're whatever, they've had money issues, but so they're sitting there and they're trying to create, but they're finding that it's not happening. So why is it not happening? It has nothing to do with you. It's not bad luck. It's not anything else. It's a time to go into our own life, sometimes even as early as our childhood, and start clearing out the blockages. Because if we grew up, let's say, with parents who are like, you have to work hard, that you have to work 84 hours a week, you have to work day and night, you got to do this, and you're never going to be rich, and rich people suck, rich people are horrible, rich people are this, rich people. Do you see what I'm saying? So now what are you doing? You're creating these blockages in your head, and you're going, well, I can't, like, if I'm rich, I must be a horrible person. Rather than going, rich people can be very generous, they can be very giving, they can be, all of these amazing other things. They never have to work past like a couple hours out of the day. So this is the way that we need to access that information. And a lot of people mess up on that, right? But one of the things that I tell people is, and then we've got to perform the actions towards it. So it's the subconscious with the actions that create the manifestation. It's kind of like people that will say, I want to date somebody who doesn't drink. Okay. Mm-hmm. But I'm going to sit here and talk about all of the times that I've been drunk and my boyfriend was drunk and, oh my God, we were drunk together and blah, 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 blah. So now what am I doing? I'm putting out into the universe all the drunkiness that I've done. And then I'm going to go to the bar and try and pick somebody up who doesn't drink.
Mm-hmm.
So
you might find a designated driver. You never know. So
chances are none, but but that's basically what we're, right. When we talk about like the subconscious, we got to remember that the subconscious can be extremely powerful. And so even though I might have full faith in my pendulum in regards to other energy, I don't always fully agree that it belongs on a paranormal investigation, except for maybe perceiving answers from those that have passed. And again, it's probably coming through the subconscious or our higher selves or through spirit that is to some way manipulating the energy, but I wouldn't call it evidence of the paranormal. Cool. Sorry, I didn't mean to go on about that.
I think that's fantastic. Right? So, Lynda.
Yes.
From a tech standpoint,
yes,
what would you say would be comparable to a pendulum? I'm curious on what your take would be.
Yeah, I first of all, I kind of feel the same as Kathy about pendulums. I think that certainly you can sense a lot of energy with a pendulum, of course. Maybe if you use it in that sense, possibly. But you know what? I don't know. I really don't know. I think if you're sensing energy, then of course, maybe you would use an EMF to detect energy. So I would say, okay, if I have somebody there that's using a pendulum and they're saying, well, there's a lot of energy in the area right now, I might try and prove or disprove that by using an EMF detector, not specifically a K2, but something a little better than that. Maybe I might take out, I don't know, my Mel meter, try and read some sort of energy in milligauss or something like that. Maybe that's what I might do. I don't know. I have issues as well with the pendulum because in my thoughts, a pendulum is exactly what you said, Kathy. A pendulum is a very personal item. So a pendulum is you, and reading your subconscious and attached to
Right.
you. So
Mhm.
when you're at a paranormal investigation, and I actually have seen people use these little, what look like spirit boards along with their pendulums, and they go to, A and V and
Mhm.
all of that. And I think, well, if something is using me as a conduit and answering all of those questions, I don't really like that. Am I wrong?
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah. I don't really like that. I mean, I don't give
Well,
permission
right.
to someone to do that. I mean, certainly you can protect yourself and yada, yada, yada. Yes. But I don't know if I really like opening myself up that way through my pendulum, which is very personal to me, in order to ask questions or answer questions during an investigation. I don't know. I'm
So
still
that's
working on
probably
that.
where you would just say, like, that's not acceptable.
Yeah, I mean, I would use dowsing rods, and we do use dowsing rods. We have a couple of people on the team that do that. Yeah, there you go. And honestly, those are great for detecting all kinds of energetic things that are going on in your environment, for sure. But I don't know, pendulum, I always had a little bit of about that. I'm not sure yet. I got to really
Interesting.
test that one out.
And I haven't played with pendulums at all, other than just seeing like I could get it to sit there and spin one way or another without moving.
Right.
I'm with you. When it comes to trying to come up with a yes no question, I think EMF detectors are the best way to go.
Yeah.
Clearly, I think by popularity, I would say K2s probably take the cake. People love to set those down and watch those things light up. The problem with the K2 is not really giving us an accurate depiction of how big of an energy surge we're talking about, if that, where it's coming from, and things like that. And this is where I kind of was talking about kind of that fallacy, or that shortcoming of technology.
Yeah.
And even the metaphysical portion of it is how much of it is being influenced by us, how much of it is being influenced by the environment, and how can we tell the difference? Because even if we get a yes no question, so for example, last night at the investigation, we put our little cat balls out on the floor and try to get something to move one of them and get them to light up. I got one to do it on command. Holy crap, look at that, look what happened. I said, hey, move that cat ball, and boom, we got light. Everybody got super excited except me, because it didn't mean anything, right? Now, if I can get it to happen over and over and over again, it still doesn't mean it. It still could be a coincidence, right? And so, that's, I think that's really the difficult part, when it comes to metaphysical versus technology, is understanding, being able to, not just the individual who's doing the investigating and using the equipment, understanding, but being able to present it so that the group and the people that are going to be watching and scrutinizing the evidence is going to be able to understand and accept as evidence, right? Yeah. So how do we, I guess, how do we give or find that tangible evidence through the metaphysical sense? Is there a way?
One of the ways that can happen that we've done on investigations is where whoever you're using as your medium at that time has absolutely no knowledge or awareness. Now, okay, so I'm going to end up talking over myself here. but basically what it is like, let's say for instance, so we had Chris McKinnell on the show from the Warren Foundation and the Warren Legacy Foundation. And, I've worked with him in the past. We've done readings. Now, I don't know anything about it when I'm going in, when I've done this. Like this is a few years ago, but I didn't know anything about the case. Nothing. No way for me to look at it. There's no information anywhere. And so we would go in, and I was doing this remotely, and it would be over the phone. And because video wasn't really accessible at that time. You know how now we have like video messenger, and we've got the StreamYard and WhatsApp and all of these things. This was about 10 years ago. So even though there was video, it was kind of still in its infancy stage. So we never did video. We just did phone, and we would do phone calls over like Facebook Messenger or something. And that's where, you know, I would just tell what I'm getting, and you would have verification or validation from the clients. So I feel like that's really the only way that you can actually get to some degree. Not the only way, maybe there's other ways, but that's the one that comes to my mind right now. We used to have on Edmonton Paranormal, when I was case manager, we did have a medium he was really good, really, really good. He was actually the founder of Edmonton Paranormal at the time, but he was an excellent medium. And some of the stuff that he would just, you'd be like, holy shit. Like there's no way. And, you know, it was always validated by the clients. The only thing is that what's happening, the only thing you have to be careful of when you're bringing a medium onto a case like that is they tend to become the main spectacle of a case. They're now the show, rather than it being about, you know, there's X amount of other people there that are taking their time, they're volunteering their time to come and help the client. And even though you've got the validation now from the client, sometimes it turns into the medium show. And you don't want that, because it's wasting everybody else's time.
That is true. But you know what, though? We have a clairvoyant on our team. And she's been on my team since, you know, the very beginning. So we find, because she is a very introverted person, she does not like sort of the limelight focus on her all the time. And she's a member of the team. We find that we tend to do a lot of validation with Chris, because she will do things. For example, she'll say, okay, I feel something in that corner, so you might want to go in that corner with some of your equipment, because I sense that there's something there. And sure as hell, we'll take our equipment, wander in that corner, and we'll see something. Or she'll say, you know what, you might want to take a picture there. And we will, and there will be something there that we can see. So in my estimation, that is great validation, because you're working sort of in tandem with someone who is very in tune with her instincts and in tune with her spirituality and with the sort of environment, right? With the frequencies. And you're also, you know, you're validating that with all of your equipment too. So we're really lucky because we have that on the team. And that's, I think, the only way that you can really do it. And I love using the Melmeter, because you've got everything there. You've got the temperature gauge, you've got EMF, you know, you've got, you even have the, what's it called? The REM pod on there as well. So it's got a million things going on. So I just love it so much.
Yeah.
The guest last night learned of my disdain for the REM pod. So I am not a REM pod fan. That thing
I love the
is
milligauss.
just,
I love that it reads in milligauss.
I love that. I love specific readings. I love looking at something going, oh, I know what this is telling me. Yeah. This is telling me there is a large EMF field right here, and it is this high. It is 150 milligauss. That's a lot. That's crazy. We need to fix this. A REM pod doesn't give you a number. It just squawks at you. And it's and then it's like, and you're like, okay, why are you squawking? Are you detecting electromagnetic field?
Or is it a mosquito?
Are you detecting a temperature fluctuation? Or are your batteries low? Which is it? We don't know, but it doesn't shut up. You know what? You know what the investigators do? They all stand around and going, okay, if that's you, move away from it.
Right.
In the meantime, there's an apparition that's doing the hokey pokey behind us, and we're missing it.
Yeah.
You know, so we were doing an investigation out in a residence out in Riggins, Idaho. And we had 2 REM pods sitting up on a staircase, one low, one high. Those was one of those instances where I think if you have a series of REM pods, kind of like a tripwire where you can track like energy moving. That was my theory. It was like, this could, this might work. If one goes off up here and then it goes off down here, and hey, there's something coming down the stairs, right? So the we had our Facebook Live set up with our static cameras, and we left the house alone, and we went to a restaurant, and all of our equipment was running, and I'm waiting for my food, and I get onto my phone, and I'm looking at the static cams, trying to go on. I'm looking in it, and I don't know what it was that I was seeing, but it looked like almost like there was a fog or a mist or something in the house. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. And I happen to turn up the volume, and I hear this alarm going off. And I was like, oh my gosh, the smoke alarms are going off. It's like, oh my gosh, we're burning down the house. And I sprinted 2 blocks back to this house.
Oh no.
And I got there, and it was both the REM pods were just screaming for no reason. There was no smoke in the house, thank goodness. And they wouldn't stop, and I couldn't figure out why. And because I sprinted 2 blocks for nothing, I hate REM pods. They made me exercise. No, the problem is that they don't tell you anything, right? And it's almost like that K2 where it's like it's lighting up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I've had K2s light up next to a millimeter, and the millimeter never changed. It was always zeros. Yeah. The K2 goes, whack! The millimeter didn't detect anything. Right. Again, this is where this is where our technology really falls short.
Yes.
Because it is, it's human made, and man-made things are imperfect as humans. So, there are some things that I think are really good about a lot of technology, basic technology, recorders, video cameras, those 2 things alone, in photography, that are really good at giving tangible evidence. However, the problem is it doesn't matter if we have that tangible evidence, we still have to prove that it's not hoaxed these days, because it is so easy to hoax evidence. I mean, technologically, but at the same time with the metaphysical thing, it's hoaxed all the time too.
Oh, God.
So, and so this is where I kind of thought this was super interesting, because I was thinking, well, we talk about all the charlatans and all the fake mediums. What was that guy's? It was like, he had a TV show, it's like John Edwards or something like that.
Oh yeah.
In the 90s, and he's like, he has his always, look, I'm getting a name. It's an R name. Does anybody have a relative who has an R in their name? Oh, I do, and they're like, oh yeah, did you have a grandmother? Yeah, I had a grandma.
Is she dead? Is she dead? Even though you're like 100 years old yourself?
Oh my goodness. Oh yeah. Did your grandmother recently pass away? No. But my aunt did. Oh yeah. Oh yes. Yeah, I can see now. Yeah, it's that motherly relative aunt, grandmother, sister thing. It's like, and it's got to the point anymore. So like with YouTube and, and all these streamers and stuff, where they're, they're constantly making, either TV shows that are faking evidence, from a technological standpoint, to people like that guy on that TV show. And, I mean, since, what was it, the Fox sisters back in the 18th century that kind of started the whole seance thing where they were faking the seances. And that was, I mean, the history behind it is really interesting. If people haven't dove into like kind of the history of paranormal investigation and where this all comes from, get into it. It's pretty interesting how paranormal investigators came about, was to actually originally debunk stuff like the fake seances and stuff that were going on. Mm-hmm. The problem is like Terry has posted here online, the technology is getting better. I could not agree more. I think that the technology is definitely getting better, for us to catch paranormal activity. However, at the same time, technology is also getting better to the point that we are having a more difficult time of debunking hoaxed evidence.
Right.
The technology out there is getting so good that, to having a real EVP clip versus an AI generated EVP clip is we're getting to the point that it's almost going to be impossible to detect for just a layperson.
I just want to answer Sparky's question. So one of the things he said is, I am like most bad feeling, fight or flight. What's the difference with that and sensitive people? So basically he's saying if you have a bad feeling, you usually go into fight or flight, right? Mm-hmm. And okay. The difference with that and somebody who's, let's say, psychic or sensitive or empath, whatever name you want to give it at that time. So here's the thing, though, is everybody is, I guess, psychic or has intuition, instinct, right? And so it's really not that difference. The only real difference is that there are, when we talk about sensitives or empaths or whatever, if you're referring to yourself in this category as a more professional, then you've done the work, or you should have done the work, or the training behind it, whatever that training is for you. There's really not that big of a difference. The difference is that an empath or a psychic or whatever, for me, let's say I get a bad feeling, I'm not just going to go, oh, I got a bad feeling, the whole world is stopping now because I got a bad feeling. I'm going to dig into that feeling and figure out where it's coming from. And so I'm going to, take it apart. I'm going to look at it energetically. I'm going to look at it psychically. I'm going to follow the path of it to figure out exactly where that bad feeling is coming from. And that in itself, you will notice that, how, as Trevor's talking about, fake mediums, fake psychics. One of the ways to tell is when somebody sits there and goes, I got a bad feeling, don't go into that room. Well, why? You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to walk over to that room and probably open the fucking door. I mean, that's because, because I want to figure out what the hell's going on. Right. Like, unless I'm in a murder house or something like that, chances are the dude from Scream isn't going to come out, so I feel okay with that. Right. But, if somebody's like, just don't, oh no, I can't talk about it. Oh, you know what, honey, go sit in the corner. Let the real people stand up and start doing our job. Right. And you probably noticed that with the lady on your team as well, Lynda, is the fact that she's not just going to throw something out there and expect that everybody's going to be like, oh, there's going to be an explanation behind it. What energy do you feel in this corner? What is it that you are experiencing? What feeling is coming through? What are you visualizing? What are you hearing? Whatever it is, it's not just a bad feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's, I hope I explained that. I hope I explained that, Sparky. I hope that, I hope that made sense. So
I think that there's, that self-preservation instinct that most people have. Women have it. Most men over the age of 35 have it. They don't really develop that until later on in life because we're just stupid until then. But, even that's kind of what we do as investigators. That's the whole point of what we do anyway as investigators, right? It's like, that's a haunted house. Everybody's scared and wants to get out. I want to go in there, That's what I'm gonna do. Yeah. I'm a firefighter. It's like, hey, that building's on fire. What'd be great? I'm gonna go in there. I'm gonna go take care of this. And so, but that's, paranormal investigation, things like that. It's not for everybody, right? Not everybody can do it. There's people who don't even want to think about ghosts because it scares them. Their self-preservation is like, this is something I got to stay away. That being said, even as an investigator, you have to respect feelings and senses that you're going to get while you're investigating. One investigation comes to mind in particular where we were investigating a commercial location in Caldwell. That's the city that I live in. We were down in this basement. It's a really, I mean, as far as like the creep factor of this place, it was fantastic. I mean, Freddy Krueger style furnace. I mean, just cobwebs and just it was awesome. So I wandered around into one section of this area in this building, and I mean, immediately it was like I just had this feeling. I mean, it was a very, very abrupt stop. Don't go over there. You know, it was very clear to me that I was not welcome where I was going.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had a choice, right? I could respect that feeling of, you know, that I was getting like, no, I don't want you over here. Leave me the frick alone. Or screw you. I'm going to come over and see what's going on anyway. I'm just going to roll the dice and see what happens. Right. So I opted to respect that feeling, and I just stopped. I said, hey, okay, I get it. You don't want me to come any closer? Not a problem. You know, I don't have to go over there, you know, and I backed up, and it was no big deal. You know, and I think there's times, you know, to do that. And I think there's also times where maybe we're going to have to be a little more aggressive, depending on what's going on. The fire service, we have what's called the critical risk, our critical risk assessment, whereas it means like we risk a lot to save a lot. You know, we'll risk a little bit to save what can't property that can be saved, but we're not going to risk anything if there's nothing to save at all, right? So, you know, if I've got something that's going on where I've got a malicious spirit or something that is terrorizing a child or a family or something, I'm probably going to push the boundaries a little bit more to try to get things to calm down. I might put myself in a little bit more of a vulnerable situation. However, otherwise, no. I mean, if they're just hanging out in a basement, not bothering anybody, I don't care. So it's great. So, by the way, one of the creepiest EVPs I've ever heard we got out of that investigation, it was an interesting story, where one of my investigators was wearing kind of, a heavy Carhartt jacket. They're kind of a canvas jacket, thick work jackets. Very warm. I don't know if Kathy and Lynda, if you've ever seen those, but he was wearing one of those jackets down in this basement. It was wintertime, it was chilly, and he starts kind of fidgeting around like he was uncomfortable. And I asked him, I said, "What's going on? Are you all right?" And he's like, "Well, it just feels like there's something like on my back." And I'm like, "Okay." And I'm looking at it, I don't see anything. And he goes, I don't know, something's burning. So we took off his jacket, lifted up his shirt, and he had these 2 scratches that were going down either side of his spine.
Oh.
And I thought, well, that's weird. Where the heck how did you do that? You know, and immediately it was kind of like, I don't know, did you scratch? I mean, how did you do that? You know, and I wasn't thinking ghost, you know, and I was like looking for nails and things like that he might have rubbed up against. And, you know, but I mean, with that jacket, that wouldn't have happened. So anyway, while we are trying to assess this jacket and his back, there is a voice that comes over on the recorders, and it's a voice of a child, but it kind of sounds like it's off in the distance a little bit. And he goes, "Let's play." I was like, oh, snap. And that's that same place where it's like I was wandering back into that area where it was like, no, don't go back there. So anyway, wow. I thought it was kind of interesting. You know, it is a good question though. So, but I mean, we're nuts anyway. We look for dead things. And
I wanted to show some of these these pictures that you had sent us, Lynda, if that's okay.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the first one we had, I'm just going to put the picture up. Okay. And then you can tell me what it is. How does that sound?
Yeah, that sounds good. All right.
Okay. So this is the first one.
Oh, yeah, that's really freaky. That is from a very old investigation that I did of a hotel. And we didn't really know anything about this particular location, and felt that there was something odd. We were walking through the rooms and felt something very strange in that location. And people were experiencing a lot of terrible things. And actually a lot of sort of African Canadians, especially, were saying that they didn't want to stay there. They hated the atmosphere. And we thought that was kind of curious. Like, why would this be happening? And then found out later, and I snapped that picture because I felt, and again, I have a little bit of intuition, obviously, after doing this for so long. I felt compromised in that room, snapped that picture, didn't really know why, and then was told by the hotel owner that way back when, we're talking in the late 50s, early 60s, that particular hotel was frequented by people who came up from the States to hold their conferences there, and they were members of the Ku Klux Klan. And when you look at that, yeah, so when you look at that, it actually does kind of look like a pointed hood that this figure is actually wearing, which freaked me out, because when I took the picture at the time, I thought, well, it looks like something is trying to manifest, but what? And then when I was told that, it kind of freaked me out a little bit.
No.
What kind of camera were you using?
At the time, I was trying to figure out what kind of camera I was using. Now we're going to say this was about 1990. Oh my gosh, maybe 1997. So I didn't have a digital camera. I had like one of those. It was like a Nikon camera at the time.
Yeah.
But and I always put it on automatic, I do remember, because I don't like taking things with flashes going off, willy-nilly. But I just found that it was really kind of strange. And I didn't see that until, of course, I developed the film. Yeah. So it would have been like a Nikon. I can't remember exactly what kind of camera. I'll have to look through my notes. But again, I'd never taken a picture like that before then. And it was my instinct that told me to take that picture. So again, I was sort of working in tandem with, okay, I've got a camera here, but what are my feelings telling me? Well, my feelings are telling me there's something standing in front of me and I need to take a picture.
And I think you nailed it. I think that's great, because I personally believe that's kind of what, as paranormal investigators, that needs to happen more, is that we need to be able to adapt and kind of marry that metaphysical with the technology aspect. And I think if we can successfully figure out a way to do that consistently, I think we're going to get better and more consistent evidence that, and it's going, because and I think it's going to help validate each other. So like, if you're deciding to use dowsing rods and you're going to use a voice recorder at the same time, and you say a yes or no question, and you get a yes answer on your dowsing rods, and you also get the yes on the voice recorder.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty freaking cool.
Yes.
I don't know how you dispute that, that's like, hey, this works. The dowsing rods cross, that's a yes. Yeah. We got a confirmation off a voice that says yes.
Absolutely.
I mean, to me, that's more difficult to disprove than anything.
Agreed.
If you just have the voice recorder, you can say, well, there's somebody standing behind the voice recorder that said yes.
Yeah.
Right. Or, I mean, there's always going to be the naysayers, and I love naysayers. I think naysayers are important. I think skeptics are important. They make me better at what I do.
Yes.
So what happened?
That's a way.
You all disappeared into a puff of smoke.
It does look like a puff of smoke, doesn't it? But interestingly enough, this was actually taken by Chris, our clairvoyant on the team, at an investigation. And they were saying that they were seeing an old woman in their yard, and she felt compelled to take that picture. And it's sort of in the middle of nowhere on the property. And she wasn't sort of exhaling in cold weather or anything like that. But she felt that this woman was standing there, and it does kind of look like a woman with a hooked nose and eyes, and it's very strange. So it does look like something was trying to manifest there. And again, she went by her gut and said, okay, I believe that I'm seeing this in my mind's eye, and I believe that if I take this picture, but if you look at the picture, it certainly looks like there's way more going on.
Interesting.
I know. It's very strange.
I was just reading the comments here. Yeah, if you're not following us on the Paranormally Speaking show, so go to there, subscribe. We'd really appreciate it. Yeah. Because apparently, so Terry and both Sparky could not see each other because they were on different channels. So that's kind of interesting. So we're not going to be on the I Want to Believe channel for much longer. Probably a couple more weeks, and then we'll be fully on to the Paranormally Speaking show.
Yeah.
So, what is this? This is so cool.
Well, this, Trevor, sort of explains exactly what you were talking about before, because this was taken at the Old Town Hall in Newmarket, and the little figure on your left is Sherry, who's my assistant director, and she is, you can even see it, holding her K2 in her hand, and we're using our SLS, and the K2 was going really crazy. It was spiking, and the SLS actually, detected an anomaly and mapped it out. And it looks like a huge, massively tall figure in front of her. And that's exactly where people see things, tall men wandering around. It's near the women's bathroom, actually, in the basement. And again, it's validating exactly what she was experiencing, feeling the cold, her K2 going crazy, and then boom, our technology picked up on this huge, massive thing that it mapped out. So again, you're going on instinct, and the technology was proving that there was something there. What it was, an energy, probably, but she felt it, and her technology was reacting to whatever was there. So I thought that was a cool one.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
The SLS technology, I think, I think it's got some promise. It also has some downfalls, though, too. It never was really developed for what we're doing, right? It was a video game device, originally the Xbox Kinect, and we've been playing with it ourselves. In fact, last night one of our guests was really excited that we had one because he wanted to bring his, and he hadn't, because he really wanted to try it out. He was really excited about the SLS. And hey, guess what? We got one. We'll get it fired up for you. You can go, carry it. And we got a rig set up so you can, the whole deal. There was a YouTube guy that was putting out videos of the SLS for quite a while, paranormal activity in his home. Had a really, really popular one that went viral. Well, that's kind of redundant. He had a viral video. I guess all viral videos are popular. That it shows this entity, the skeleton figure that appears in the hallway, walks out into the living room, walks up to the camera, kind of looks around for a second, then walks to a person that's asleep on the couch, bends over, just kind of looks at the person for a little bit, and then slowly gets up, moves out, and disappears in the hallway. Wow. Well, turns out he hoaxed the whole thing.
Right.
And it was very, very simple to do. All he had to do was wear a green suit. And so everybody's like, whoa, we got to pump the brakes on this SLS thing, because how are we going to show that this isn't? Now, I think it'd be pretty simple to show that, if you've, what it's going to come down to is you're going to have another camera, basically running in sequence with your SLS, so you can see what you're seeing with the naked eye and what the SLS is seeing at the same time. I think it's really cool that the claims of people seeing the tall man and then you getting that figure of the real tall man, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's one of those things that to me, that would be much more difficult to hoax in the setting like that. I mean, the SLS it doesn't look for people. It just looks for people shapes. Right.
Yes.
So a tree could be a people shape. A chair can be a people shape. There's, and sometimes you're like, what the heck is this thing looking at? You got to point it at, you're like, something, you know what it is. And it's like, what's trying to make a skeleton out of? That's weird. But in this sense, the proximity of it and where the investigator's standing, I really like that one. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So
I thought that was really
We'll just quickly show this last one here. This is that is a huge orb. That is a crazy, crazy orb.
Yeah, interestingly enough, I actually saw that orb with my naked eye. And, when you see one with your naked eye, then you know that it's a very, very strong energy. And that was in the same location at the old town hall in the basement that used to be used as a jail. So there were cells down there. And it was the strangest thing because I happened to have my camera and I didn't even think it was working because all night it hadn't been working. And I just kind of went, oh my God, I see this, and lifted it up and took a picture. And sure enough, there it was. And I thought, oh my God, it actually picked up what I was seeing. But again, you have to be fast, number one. And number two, I had this inkling that I needed to turn around and look at that particular location. And when I did, and I saw this orb, I thought, wow, this is really cool. Like, my instinct was right.
And you need to go back to that picture, Kathy, because we get, even like last night with our guests and stuff, I had a lot of questions about orbs. And I think that people get really, really excited about it. They take pictures or they get video off of their Ring doorbells of all these orbs, and there's orbs, and they're ghosts. Well, here's the problem. And this is what I'll tell everybody right now that's listening. If you are using IR, infrared lighting, okay, and you're taking pictures, you're going to see orbs. And they are nothing more than dust and bugs. If you are using flash photography, chances are you are reflecting your flash off of dust and bugs. In this picture right here, there is no flash photography. Nope. It's not IR. There is a singular point of light in the middle of the room.
Yeah.
Can everybody understand the difference?
Yes.
I can't. That is a great example of like what I tell people. It's like the only way you could actually catch an orb is you have to meet that parameter. There can't be a light source that you're using. It cannot be IR. You have to have it's just got to be there, and you just got to be able to take the picture of it. It's got to produce enough light that it shows up on your camera without flash. Clearly it was a transparent light of some sort, a ball of light. I mean, Kathy or Lynda, that's a phenomenal catch. And I know that's not the only one that you've caught too. I've seen another picture more. You're really good at that.
Yeah, we catch some pretty cool ones, honestly. Really cool. Thank you.
That is really cool. One thing is, people, if you vacuum and then start taking a picture,
don't do that.
It's a great way to catch them.
There's going to be 101% chance that what you've caught is not an orb.
Yeah, I had somebody who was telling me about they were investigating a barn, and they got there and then they waited. They sat down and waited for several minutes to make sure the dust would settle before they started taking pictures.
No.
And then they still caught a whole bunch of orbs. And I was like, man, yeah. It's because air currents, dust weighs nothing, and it doesn't matter. A mosquito fart would blow up some dust and cause orbs. So,
Absolutely.
it's just, yeah. So
I actually, I've sat there and we've had to, and I'm sure you guys have done the same, where you get videos from people that they'll set a camera up somewhere in their room and they'll be like, look at all the orbs. I know that's Aunt so-and-so, and this is Uncle, who blah, blah, and blah, 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 and blah. And you're just like, and the cat's like chasing something through the room, and the dog is coming in, and they like, blah, blah, blah. And but that's cool. I love those orbs. What's that?
Said you shook your whole house when you did that.
I did.
Right?
It's a talent.
I felt that down here in Idaho.
It's a talent.
It's a talent.
But guys, thanks for everybody, thanks for watching, and we truly appreciate it, and we'll see you next week. Have an amazing weekend or week. I guess this is sort of the end of the weekend. That's the best way to say it. But
have a great day at work, everybody, tomorrow.
Right.
Enjoy your Monday. Enjoy your Monday. And we hope that we made your Sunday night a little bit happier. Right?
And to all you psychics out there.
No, we're watching you.
Those are the paranoid psychos. We're watching.
Yeah, that's right.
Take care, everybody, and have a good one. Bye.